Vols Society live on this Wednesday night. My name is David Morrison. I'm the Vols Society lead analyst. And tonight we're going to be talking all about the Tennessee baseball season recap for 2022. But first, before we talk about that, social media accounts. We're all over the place for Vols Society. Facebook.com/UT Vols Society, YouTube.com/Vols Society, and on Twitter at Society Vol. Like I said, tonight we're going to be talking all about the Tennessee baseball season 2022. Historic season with a disappointing ending. We'll dive into that. We'll dive into the Notre Dame game on Sunday, and of course the whole weekend series super regionals with Notre Dame, and then we're going to run down basically the entire season. Our founder Brad in the chat room saying go Vols, still very sad about our baseball team, but go Vols. Absolutely. And we got spam already here. Let's get rid of this. It's not a troll, it's just a fake link to a fake account. So welcome into all our spams and robots watching along on Vols Society Live on this Wednesday night. Anyways, glad everyone is tuning in right now. All right. Like I said, we're going to be talking all about the baseball team tonight. We're going to save most of our football talk for the upcoming weeks. Since now we got a lot of free time this summer to talk about the football team. But it's all about baseball tonight. And then, like I said, we'll dive into more of the football talk next week and the week after up until kickoff. All right, so let's go ahead and let's just rip the Band-Aid off and talk about the Super Regionals with Notre Dame. Obviously, a disappointing ending to the season. Not what obviously, we didn't want to be here, obviously. I guess if we want to talk about the positives, like I said, it was a great season. And like I said, we're going to dive into the numbers in a minute. It's a great season, great, like I said, just an experience that we haven't seen at Tennessee. Not only just for Tennessee baseball, but just Tennessee athletics in a really long time. However the national media portrays our fan base, obviously don't really care, but it's just exciting to see just excitement to Tennessee athletics again. It started last year, like I said, after just a gluttony of mediocre seasons of really a lot of our Tennessee sports. I mean, there's been some highlights here and there, but just to have the Tennessee fan base rally behind something, getting excited about something, and having a serious contender to win championships. Tony Vitello stepped up to that plate. He's ruffled some feathers along the way to get where he is, but success is breathing right now. And, just reflecting throughout the entire weekend, I'll say this. I'll give credit to Notre Dame. Notre Dame has a really good ball club. And at times I underestimated them. I'm going to be honest. I thought they could sneak a win out, but I thought we were a better team. Just kind of looking at their win-loss records, but kind of like March Madness when it comes to college baseball in June. If you get hot in June, you're going to go to Omaha. Notre Dame is in Omaha. We're sitting on the couch. I mean, that's the truth about it. They came out and they whipped us in game 1 and game 3. And like I said, that game 3 meltdown, like I said, had a 3-1 lead. And then going in the 7th, like I said, you had Chase Burns still out there, probably went a little too long out there. And then Notre Dame attacked us, took a 4-3 lead. And then it snowballed after that. And Notre Dame went on to win at 7-3. So, you can spin it any way you want to. My emotions is just sadness, a little anger, but grateful to be where we are. And like I said, Knoxville really hosted a great Super Regional. I know everybody's going to talk about what happened Friday with Drew Gilbert. And I'll get to that in a moment and what the fans did. Once again, like I said in the Ole Miss video a few months back, what the fans throwing trash on the field is unacceptable. That is not fans. Those are not Tennessee fans, and I promise you that. No matter what the national media says, we are not a classless fan base. I mean, that's the honest truth. I know people won't believe me for saying that, but I mean, there are some great Tennessee fans. There's passionate Tennessee fans. We want to see our teams succeed, but we're not just a bunch of crazy redneck hillbillies from East Tennessee that has no respect. That's just the honest truth. It's just unfortunate that the fan base kind of gets painted in that negative light, but it kind of comes with kind of our style of play. I mean, we're a different style of play, and I look at how this Tennessee baseball team is portrayed in college baseball, and when I was a diehard fan of NASCAR, for several years, I've kind of fallen out of the sport lately, but this Tennessee baseball team, if you compare it to a NASCAR driver, is almost like the Kyle Busch of college baseball. When Kyle Busch joined the NASCAR Cup Series, he basically wanted to be the next NASCAR villain. There's been some NASCAR villains along the way, but they kind of had fan support. But Kyle Busch was this young, brass, cocky NASCAR driver, and if you follow NASCAR in the last 15 years or so, you know who I'm talking about. And Kyle Busch went out there and won races and won the pole and led a bunch of laps. And, if things didn't go his way, he always made a sly comment in the post-race interviews and stuff. But the one thing Kyle Busch kind of lacked up until 2015 was he never won the NASCAR Cup Championship. I think this is kind of where this Tennessee baseball team is looked at from a college baseball national landscape. And hello to my grandparents who tuned in. I think they look at it like, we've come in here and we're like disrupting kind of the traditions of college baseball. And it's not like we're a brand new college baseball team. We've been playing baseball for well over 60 years at Tennessee. It's just Tony Vitello has this new vision. He wants to come in there with more of an attitude, more of a ruffle the feathers, kind of shake the traditions of, let's make baseball classy. Let's not do all this stuff. And, at times I do appreciate it. It changes the game. It gets people talking about college baseball, and we're bringing new viewers in to college baseball, not just Tennessee fans, but just people from the outside looking in. Like, I've heard of college baseball and I've heard of Omaha and the College World Series, but then you look at a team like Tennessee, and like I said, they're coming in like, wow, this is a cool baseball team right here. Look at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. Their fans are rowdy. You got players like has this, Miami 1980s swagger style, but then also you'll have looking at us as the antagonists, like the villains, like, man, I can't stand this Tennessee team. I want to see them lose. And of course, when we got put out Sunday, everybody was talking about it. There was some people who embraced our season. There's others that did not. And like I said, we're going to be portrayed as the villains, similar to in Alabama in football or Duke in basketball. Now, we don't have the championships as in Alabama in football and Duke in basketball does, but anytime when Alabama loses a football game, everybody talks about it. When Duke is put out in the NCAA tournament or Kentucky's put out in the NCAA tournament, everybody talks about it. I think Tennessee is set in position to be kind of the villain of college baseball. It's just, hopefully as Tennessee fans, we want to see us get back to Omaha and to win a national championship. So saying all that, a little rant there at the beginning. Well, now let's just talk about the positives of this season. So Tennessee finishes the regular season 57-9 overall, 25-5 in SEC play, 38-5 at home, 13-2 on the road, 6-2 at neutral sites. So, like I said, great season overall. I mean, no doubt about it. You win the SEC Eastern Division Championship, you win the SEC regular season championship, and you win the SEC tournament championship for the first time since 1995. Breaking down kind of the schedule or some of the, not every game, but just some highlights, if you will. Tennessee had 10 series sweeps throughout the season where it was 2 games or more, including they won 8 series in a row or swept. They had 8 series sweeps in a row. Word that a little bit better. Of course, they had the 23-game winning streak that started on March the 5th when they defeated Baylor in Houston, 10-5 the final score, and then it ended at Smoky Stadium against Tennessee Tech, 3-2 on April the 12th. Of course, Tennessee went undefeated in the SEC tournament, undefeated in regional play, and then Super Regionals, unfortunately, that's where we got put out. Looking at some stats overall as far as team numbers go, Tennessee, most runs they scored in a single game was against Iona on February 26th when Tennessee scored 29 runs in that game. Also in that game, they had 28 RBIs accounted for in that one. As far as hits go, they had 25 hits against Mississippi State on May the 19th, and that's the infamous 27-2 game when Tennessee went to Mississippi State and just dominated the defending national champion Mississippi State Bulldogs, who didn't even make the SEC tournament. They finished dead last in the SEC West. Like I said, other numbers, they had 7 home runs in that same game, too. They also had 7 home runs in a single game against James Madison on March the 9th. 7 doubles Tennessee accumulated for in one game against Georgia Southern and Mississippi State. As far as the pitching numbers go, Tennessee struck out 15 batters against Vanderbilt on April the 1st and Kentucky May the 5th. 6 stolen bases Tennessee had against UNC Asheville on February the 23rd. So, like I said, just dominant numbers. And Tennessee led in every offensive category. Like I said, it's a team that we'll probably never see again. And, like I said, I'm not trying to say we're not going to get back to Omaha per se. I'm just saying this collective group of guys just went out there and just put up some dominant numbers hitting-wise and then pitching-wise. And we're going to break down some of the key players that really contributed to this Tennessee baseball team. Like I said, individual numbers as far as hitting goes, Drew Gilbert finished the season in batting average, hitting .362 on the year. Trey Lipscomb, slugging percentage of .717. Jordan Beck and Luke Lippius had 70s runs scored, tied the team lead in there. Trey Lipscomb, 84 RBIs to go along with his 22 home runs, both led Tennessee. Drew Gilbert had 21 doubles, and Gilbert and Jarrell Ortega had 4 triples on the year that led the team. Luke Lippius was walked 59 times last year. Seth Stevenson had 25 stolen bases. And then Jordan Beck and Trey Lipscomb played in all 66 baseball games this past season for Tennessee. I mean, and these are familiar names we're used to. I mentioned Gilbert, Lipscomb, Jordan Beck, Luke Lippius. And then we got to saw, kind of backtracking here, if you remember last year, we knew Drew Gilbert was coming back and Jordan Beck, Evan Russell, Luke Lippius. But if you remember, you were missing some players in the infield, and you didn't know who was going to be that third baseman coming into next year. And we heard about Jarrell Ortega. Is he going to take a step up in his play? They delivered. Trey Lipscomb just broke out of nowhere. He was pretty much in the 2021 season was kind of playing, played a few weekend series, but then he was mainly playing like the weekday games. And he broke out and, in my opinion, probably should have won SEC Player of the Year. I mean, 22 home runs, 84 RBIs, a slugging percentage of .717. Just didn't get there, but, he was held nicely rewarded as far as All-American numbers go, All-American honors go, and obviously all SEC honors go. Looking at our pitchers, Chase Dolander, transferred from Georgia Southern last year, became the SEC Pitcher of the Year. Just fantastic numbers on the year for him. An ERA of 2.39. His opponents hit 175 off of him. 10 wins on the year, led the team. 108 strikeouts on the season. I mean, just a dominant performance. And then I'll give credit to Chase Burns also. He had over 100 strikes last season, 103 to be exact. Drew Beam started 15 games for us last year. That led the team, and combining the strikeout ratio to walk ratio for Chase Dolander, Chase Burns, and Drew Beam, 272 strikeouts compared to 49 walks. That's very good for a three-man rotation. So, just like I said, we mentioned this before. Just we saw it all season. Just the dominant performances from Tennessee all the way around. Memorable moments. Just crushing some SEC opponents throughout the season, including some that are playing in Omaha this weekend. Like I said, obviously we want to be there too, but we're not. It's just remarkable to see these numbers, and just it's fantastic. All right, to kind of look at next year, and we still don't know who's going to pull out early as far as enter the MLB draft. So I'm not going to run through every player on the Tennessee baseball team, but I'm going to run down the players who is leaving that played a contributing part throughout most of the season here. So let's take a look at our graduate seniors first. So obviously Tennessee loses Evan Russell, our starting catcher, legendary career at Tennessee, very popular player. Just a fantastic kid. Seems like the guy's head on straight. Definitely going to be missed next year, but he gave his all for Tennessee and became a legend for what he's done. Luke Lippius, our first baseman's gone. He had some great moments, including he got red hot not only in the SEC tournament but in the NCAA tournament. Veteran first baseman. He did struggle, obviously, in the super regionals with some of the errors. Not necessarily his fault. I'll just say that. But he is a very exciting player to watch, and I'm gonna miss hearing Luke when he comes to the plate. Raymond Walsh, our closer, he's done. Like I said, big contributor throughout the season, closing out games, reliable when needed. So Big Red's going to be missed next year. All right, so then I wrote down. So here are some seniors that could come back per their COVID year. So Trey Lipscomb, our third baseman. I think he's going to probably go to the MLB draft, but you never know. He could come back. Like I said, he really broke out on the scene this season. I already mentioned, just kind of just find his way in the lineup. Matter of fact, there was kind of rumors that he may hit the transfer portal, but he came back to Tennessee and he was greatly rewarded for sticking it around. Played every game and had an SEC Player of the Year numbers. So he could come back for his sixth season. That's kind of up in the air. Christian Scott, he kind of came in as far as like pitch runner goes and maybe every once in a while pinch hitter. He's an infielder. Don't really know if he'll come back. He might. But I don't know if he would be in the everyday lineup because this team is so deep. I mean, he could. You just never know. But we'll see where he goes. Kind of his status is up in the air. Ethan Smith, he was the transfer from Vanderbilt. Didn't really get to see a lot of action. He got dinged up pretty early on in the season and just never really got back on the field. So kind of kind of a lost opportunity there. I really thought he was probably going to be in that weekend rotation, but with Dolander and Burns and even Beam really stepping up, just leapfrogged him over. Well, and we also thought Tidwell was going to start too, and he ended up getting injured early in the year, but came aboard. Camden Sewell, relief pitcher from Cleveland, he could come back for his sixth season. It wouldn't shock me. I don't know how high he would be ranked in like MLB mock drafts. I hadn't really did research on that. I think he'd be a nice addition to the bullpen again. Like I said, this bullpen is going to be deep next year. And I'm about to read some of the other players that are underclassmen. But just having that veteran leadership could, because you're going to be losing two locker room leaders. Well, three. I would throw Redmond Welsh as a locker room leader, but definitely losing a leader in Russell and Lippius. I think Kansas Sewell can kind of fill those roles where Russell and Luke was. All right, so now underclassmen. Now keep in mind they could still declare for the MLB draft, and but they're underclassmen, so freshmen, sophomores, juniors, including the red shirt year. So I'm gonna read the like the outfielders and infielders, the regular position players, and then I'll go into the pitchers. So Drew Gilbert, he's a junior, will be a senior next year. It wouldn't shock me if he pulls out and goes to the MLB draft. Like I said, he's kind of the straw that stirs the drink. He is controversial. We all know what happened Friday night, and I'll go ahead and talk about that. I think it was a bad call on that 1-1 when it went to 1-1, and he turned around and said something. But I got to be honest with Drew. I love Drew. I love his passion and energy, but you can't cuss out an umpire. So, like I said, I love the way he plays the game. Sometimes I kind of cringe at times, rounding first, flipping the bird. I don't really like that either. But, he does play with a lot of passion and energy. Like I said, the straw that stirs the drink. If he comes back next year, obviously there's going to be a lot of headlines with that. And you may see some opposing teams may take advantage of him to try to get under his skin. Hopefully he can kind of mature over the summer and the fall. And, I want him to still have that passion and energy and the backflips and everything. But hopefully a little maturity on his part can help. Jarrell Ortega, second baseman. I really love Jarrell Ortega. We talked about Dolander and Trey Lipscomb and a lot of others. Okay, that's what I thought. We talked about Lipscomb. We talked about Lippius, Russell, Gilbert. I think Jarrell Ortega got overlooked quite a bit. As far as not getting a lot of recognition. I mean, he did get, like I said, he did get rewarded in postseason awards, but it seemed like he was kind of forgotten. I think he's in for a big season if he comes back next year. He's going to move up that batting order. I really love him. I think he's MLB ready right now, or at least he can be drafted. I just love the way he plays the game. Great defensively. He's got a great bat. And like I said, if he comes back to Tennessee next year, yeah, he's going to be a key player, possible all-SEC player. Seth Stevenson, we mentioned he led the team in stolen bases, kind of broke out later in the year, played in left field, did a good job, solid job. He's kind of one of the quieter players compared to the rest. I expect him to come back next year to kind of be maybe, be the leadoff guy again. Get some stolen bases, play good defense. I don't have any issues with Seth Stevenson coming back. Just continue to improve his game. Christian Moore, another guy that didn't get to play a lot or even start a lot, came in as far as pitch runner goes. It's going to be, he could get a shot if, let's say Lipscomb leaves or Jarrell Ortega leaves. He could possibly get that second baseman job, maybe third baseman. He might get first baseman Lippius, but there's another guy I have on the list I think will be the starting first baseman. But it's going to be interesting. He was just a freshman last year, so he's still learning his way, trying to find his niche on the team. So we'll see where Christian Moore may go. Cortland Lawson, the shortstop. One of my biggest frustrations in the NCAA tournament was kind of the inconsistent play of Cortland Lawson. He made a lot of errors kind of throughout the whole entire tournament and throwing some wild throws to Lippius that could have been easily picked up and tossed over the first. I hope, and I believe in Cortland Lawson. I hope he comes back. I think he needs to improve that defense. He had like 10 errors last year, which he wasn't even at the top of the list. I think Russell had the most errors. But, I want to see him improve defensively, be a little more patient with ground balls. I mean, I want him to still play aggressively at times, especially going for diving balls, but it seemed like he was it was too aggressive at times. It could have been simple plays, and I know in that Georgia Tech game, he could have ended it on a double play, and he hesitated and threw to Luke at first base for just only the second out. Now, thankfully, we won that game, but a little more field awareness and what's going on is what I want to see from him. And I know it'll be kind of harsh on him. I think he's a good shortstop, and he's got a good bat too. I just want to see him improve defensively if he comes back next year. Chase Dolander. What can you say about him? Actually, I'm probably not going to add too much to that. SEC Pitcher of the Year. He might pull out and go to the draft. I don't know. I would love to see him come back for another year. He's got all the tools, mechanics. Just a fantastic pitcher. He's definitely one of the early contenders for our Ball Society Player of the Year, which is coming up in December. No doubt about it. Kyle Booker. I thought Kyle Booker would have probably played a little bit more this year. Of course, we were still trying to figure out that outfield after Beck and Drew Gilbert. I thought he would be the starting left fielder, but Seth Stevenson kind of beat him for that. It's going to be interesting to see where he can be. I could see him maybe go DH. There's another guy that I think also could be DH that's filling in for Blake Burke. And I'll tell you where Burke is going, in my opinion, for next year. I think he's got potential. I've heard he's really good. He played a lot of the Tuesday, Wednesday games. Did some good stuff there. Just never really got in that weekend lineup and rotation. So, I think, and he's still a young player, but I think there's untapped potential with Kyle Booker. Charlie Taylor. So Charlie Taylor, redshirt freshman, came into had to started a couple of Tennessee games in an awkward situation in the NCAA tournament with Evan Russell being out. Didn't really have the greatest hitting performances, but he was pretty good behind the plate. Like I said, he's probably going to be your everyday catcher next year, either him or Jared Dickey. That's still kind of up in the air. They could probably go to the transfer portal. I would love to see Charlie Taylor get that everyday job. Even like I said, the Tennessee fans really embraced him when he was playing, really chanting Charlie, and that's one of the positive things about our fan base is we embrace our players. We want to see them succeed. It doesn't matter if they're a freshman or a 6-year senior. You're going to hear the names, and they're going to really rally behind them. And, yeah, we do antagonize the opposing opponents. So Jared Dickey. Jared Dickey, of course, came in an awkward situation also when Gilbert got ejected. He was the pitcher the player that had to pitch hit for Gilbert after he got ejected. You can go many different directions with Jared Dickey next year. You can put him in the out. I mean, he could be a backup outfielder to one of the three, or he could possibly start if Beck or Gilbert decides to go to Major League Baseball. You can put him in the DH slot, fill in for Blake Burke. He could possibly contend for in the catcher spot. So anything. Brad says, do you think we have a chance to be as good next year in baseball? Yes. We're definitely potential to be Omaha bound next year. It all depends on who may come back next year. I mean, running down these names, these are names we've saw the last couple of years. Some still have that extra COVID year. Obviously Tony V's not going anywhere. Last year at this time, we were hoping and praying he wouldn't take that LSU job or any other job. And, Dr. Danny locked him down for a few years, and Tony V's not going to go anywhere. So, I think this team definitely is Omaha bound. We already picked up a transfer portal player, and I'm about to get to in a moment. And then there's a rumor of another one I just read before we got on. Jared Dickey, you mentioned him. Chase Burns, had a great freshman year. He's coming back. I'm going to kind of run through these real quickly here. Blake Burns, Was our designated hitter last year, an SEC and All-American Freshman of the Year. I think he was, like I said, designated here last year. I think he'll probably take Luke Lithius' spot at first base. He's a tall player. I like tall first basemen. In case you get wild throws, you can just reach up there and grab it really good. I'm excited to see what Blake Burns can do. White Evans, relief pitcher, kind of came in a little bit last year as far as relief pitching goes, especially in the NCAA tournament. He can fit that mold very well. Jordan Beck, Mike Honcho, could come back next year. Absolutely. I mean, absolutely could come back. I'm excited about him. If he does come back, another popular play, the Mike Honcho jerseys were very popular. I would love to see Beck come back, but once again, it's up in the air. Blake Tidwell, like I said, he got injured at the beginning of the year, came back right around springtime and did all right for the most part. It took a little while to get his feet underneath him, and it felt like it kind of dragged on throughout the whole year. I think Tidwell's going to come back fully healthy and ready to go. Drew Beam, another freshman pitcher. He's definitely coming back. Mark McLaughlin, he was a relief pitcher, picked up some wins for us in when Tennessee got behind and made a comeback and did very well relieving. Kirby Connell, the mustache man. I would love to see Kirby come back. Obviously a popular player because of his look, but he's also a great relief pitcher, so we'll see how it goes. Brad's favorite, Ben Joyce, the 100-mile-an-hour pitcher. I mean, talk about some characters on this team. I think he's definitely coming back, bringing that 105 fastball back next year. And then Xander Seacrest, he was mainly a midweek starter, started a lot of Wednesday games, Tuesday games. I think he could possibly contend for that weekend rotation. I don't know if he'll start. Just depends on what happens with Dollander stuff. All right, so that's kind of who's all may or may not come back. I know that took a little while. And like I said, that's not everybody. I was trying to pick everybody that contributed last year. All right, transfer players. So Sunday, when we were playing Notre Dame, Tennessee picked up a player in the transfer portal, one of the top players in the transfer portal, and Maui Ahuda. I hope I said that right. Shortstop from Kansas, hit .396 last year. I heard he's really good. He, like I said, played shortstop. So, well, it depends on what happens with Lipscomb. You could move Portland Lawson the third and put Maui at shortstop. We shall see. You don't know. And then a player that entered the transfer portal sometime recently that I read is a guy named Tommy White. Tommy White plays at NC State, another infielder. He had 27 home runs last year, 74 RBIs, and he was the ACC Freshman of the Year. Tennessee is one of the favorites to pick him up. Maybe some NIL money, who knows? I think he would be another big contributor. Like I said, Tennessee, like I said, baseball is trending up. Like I said, I know the way the season ended, and I know everybody had their fun with it. But, I'm excited to just see what next year can bring. I hope this team is hungry. I know this team was definitely hungry after losing in the SEC tournament. They went out and won it next year. I know they went to Omaha and obviously didn't go there this year. But, I hope this team is hungry. I hope a lot of these guys do come back. They do want to contend for a national championship because everybody that I read, has the potential to come back, except for Russell Lippius and Redmond Walsh. And then, like I said, that extra COVID year. Could this team all come back and make one more run to get to Omaha? Like I said, back in 2021, Arkansas was the number 1 seed. They lost in their super regional to NC State. They're back in the Omaha this year. I think Tennessee can fit that mold very well. And, of course, I know the other big thing was the number 1 seed hasn't won a national championship since Miami in 1999. I heard that about 30 times over the weekend. So maybe that's another silver line to look at. Real quickly, I'll wrap up the awards and we'll wrap it up for the night. Today, Perfect Game, one of the college baseball media outlets, named Tony Vitello their coach of the year. Perfect Game All-Americans, Chase Nolander first team, Drew Gilbert second team, Trey Lipscomb, Jarrell Ortega third team. And then some other ones, the ABCA Rawlings All-Regional Teams was announced today. This is for the Southeast region. So SEC, ACC, some of the American Conference teams, yada, yada. You know where the Southeast is. First teams, Chase Nolander, Chase Burns, Drew Beam, Drew Gilbert, Trey Lipscomb, and Jarrell Ortega first team, Jordan Beck second team. And then the Collegiate Baseball Writers Freshman Pitcher of the Year goes to Chase Burns. And Burns and Beam was also named Freshman All-American. And then the Collegiate Baseball.com, whatever. Freshman All-Americans, Burns and Beam also. And then their baseball All-Americans, Nolander, Lipscomb, Burns, and Gilbert. So looking back at this season, obviously one of the greatest obviously probably the greatest Tennessee baseball team, obviously the greatest that didn't win the national championship, but one of the greatest teams in college baseball history. Just put up some record-like numbers, and just in Tennessee athletics, just unreal what this team has done. Obviously, disappointing ending, and I know we're unfortunately being battered with that, with basketball last year, how the way it ended in the second round of Michigan, the Music City Bowl, the way it ended against Purdue. I promise you, Vol fans, we're going to get there. And I know a lot of fan bases will laugh at that, but we're going to get there. We've talked about Danny White every week. We talked about Donnie Plowman every week. The culture at Tennessee is there. The coaches are there. As a matter of fact, I know we're mainly talking about baseball, but I'll mention the track and field team. Went to the NCAA championship, finished third place. That's their highest they've ever finished there since 2002. Tennessee athletics is on fire. And I know everybody wants to look at the negative thing, and that's just, unfortunately, the world in social media. And it's not just sports. It's everywhere in the news and stuff. We always look at the negative and the sadness of it. But there's good stuff in Knoxville. So don't get all caught up with, we got a classless fan base. We throw mustard balls if we don't get our way, and water bottles and trash and stuff. That's bait, unfortunately, for them. And I wish we didn't have fans like that. I'm being serious about it. It's just a bunch of drunk college kids that just wants to dishonor the name of Tennessee Athletics. We're a really prideful school, and there's some good stuff going on. Matter of fact, the Tennessee baseball team, before they took on Notre Dame, went to East Tennessee Children's Hospital, visited the kids up there. Nobody mentioned that, except for the University of Tennessee. So, there's good stuff going on. Yes, we're a cast of characters. Yes, we, like I said, ruffle feathers. Yes, we're controversial. Yes, we have an attitude at times. We are the quote-unquote villains, or the Kyle Busch of college baseball. But I promise you, this team is fun to watch. And I hope in the years to come, when we look back at this team and we can say, you know what? This Tennessee baseball team was fun. Yeah, they made some people mad. But at the end of the day, they brought some fun to college baseball. And I hope it kind of transitions to more schools. I'm not saying doing what we do, but to add some, excitement to college baseball. Because I really thought this was a great college baseball season. Taking the Tennessee hat off for just a second. There are some great teams all the way around across the nation. There is more coverage this year for college baseball. I think there can be more. But with ESPN kind of have their hands tied with the NBA and NHL and all this other stuff, that's their priority, and I understand why. But, like I said, I was really excited to see college baseball getting talked about more. And even through the negativity of us losing and getting eliminated, everybody kind of celebrating it, they were talking about us. I'd rather them talk about us than not talk about us at all, positively or negatively. So it's a lot of fun to see. And like I said, should be an exciting 2023 baseball season. And we'll just have to see in the weeks ahead who's going to try out for the MLB draft and who's coming back. All right, that's going to kind of wrap it up tonight. Next week, we're going to talk about some football recruiting news. We'll get back into our Behind Enemy Line series with Alabama. Also, next Tuesday night on the SEC Network, there's a great documentary coming up about Tamika Catchings and her last year at the University of Tennessee called Catch 98. I'm gonna kind of review that for y'all next Wednesday. I'll talk about it. Should be a great documentary. Very excited about that. Continue to follow us on our social media pages, facebook.com/UT Society. We're doing the countdown to kickoff with our VFLs, showing old pictures and stuff. Today was number 78 on our until it's football time in Tennessee. Also, we wish our coach Pat Summitt, a happy birthday, Heavenly. She would have turned 70 years old this year. Had some old pictures of that. Like I said, YouTube is still doing great. We're pushing to 1,000 subscribers. So if you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe to our channel. And we're pushing to 1K. Also on Twitter, Facebook. Just doing some great stuff. Like I said, we got a lot to we now got some free time in the summer. I wish we were doing an Omaha preview, to be honest with you, but it is what it is. So we'll talk about football kind of throughout the summer. Don't forget, the podcast is coming with Brad Frank, David Dees, myself, other guests as we preview Tennessee football. The Ball Society podcast coming right during football season. So more news will be coming out throughout the summer and some other news and notes as far as the University of Tennessee goes. Yeah, that's all I've really got. Any other comments or questions before we wrap it up as far as baseball or athletics go? Like I said, thank you for everybody tuning in tonight. It's been fantastic doing these shows each and every Wednesday night. We'll continue to kind of roll through it throughout the summer, see what we can talk about. Obviously, we're still under Carnell Tate watch, see what he might decide to do in the upcoming season. All right, I think we're good to go. Thank you for everybody tuning in tonight. We'll catch y'all back here next Wednesday night talking a little football and other news and notes. Until then, David Morrison saying have a great night and go Vols. Toast to the villains.